Hi, my friend, it's Pat Sloan here. We are going to be kicking off some Christmas sewing, jingle, jingle, jingle bells, with Wendy Shepherd's, my good friend Wendy Shepherd's quilt. This one here from her absolutely spectacularly darling book, which you can get right now at Annie's, and I've got a link to it. Plus, the digital version, as I'm filming this, was on sale. And it's all like, this is the best pricing book ever. It's a group of patterns, lots and lots of cute ones that you will want to make. So before we get to that, we have to do the holidays for today, or the celebrations. It is Alpaca Day, Pancake Day, and Family Day. Okay, I'm partial to Pancake Day. I'm like thinking, what? Pancake Day? That sounds really fun. How does that happen? Yeah. Do we need a pancake quilt? I feel like we need a breakfast quilt, but it would have to be applique because that's just so much easier for me. I can draw a breakfast quilt with applique. I don't know, Laura, our ambassador, does that sound good to you? Maybe for next year, maybe to kick off in January, we should have a breakfast quilt. Goofy, right? It'd be goofy fun. You could put it in your kitchen or just give it to your friend who loves breakfast. One more thing I want to share with you. This is Ember. This is our Ambassador Suzanne's grand dog. He is a doodle and he's just barely a year old. And you know how baby animals are. They get themselves, our fur babies get themselves into trouble sometimes. And he ate stuff he wasn't supposed to eat, and he had to have a lot of surgery. He made it, he survived, but it wasn't easy and it was expensive. The pet insurance was used up, and so his sweet little family of her daughter and son-in-law and their two little kids, you know, now have a kind of a large vet bill. And so they did a GoFundMe, and I know that you all love your fur babies and you love Suzanne. She is a wonderful ambassador, and I know that if you want to give, I know some of you will want to give and help a little bit to ease that burden for this sweet family. Isn't he so cute? Oh my goodness, his little face. So anyways, the link is below for the GoFundMe if you would like to help and support, just to get them over that lump of that medical bill for Mr. Ember. Okay, let's go to the other side and look at the stars. Let's take a look at the block fabrics that I'm using and details of the block construction. So here we go. I've got one kind of in partials, and here is this one sewn together. So we'll look at the sewn together one first. And you can see that there's the tree. Now the tree, you don't have to make it the same background. I'm using my Promise Me white because I do have a lot of things that are Christmas with sort of a white background, so that's what works for me. But you could have made this like a dark green, enough that it contrasts. You just have to be sure it's going to contrast what's around it, because when you go scrappy, you've got to have that high contrast. You could do like maybe a really deep red tree. You could do a really light green, super light green with my particular fabrics would probably pop, because there's no light green. These are a little bit darker forestry green. So the line that I'm using, let's look at that. Okay, stick that over there. Okay, what I'm using is from Basic Gray called Jolly Good. And so all of these pieces are going to be cut from here. So I've got greens and reds, and you know, they have all kinds of great patterns. I love this. This is what I ordered for the binding. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? And there's this kind of beautiful snowflakey stuff. Some of the pieces are gone already, you know, because everything's so popular. But yeah, I'm going to use, I think, my Harmony wide back in this shade of green for mine. So you've got dark greens. See, so all of it's so cool. This is just a really neat print. Stripe, and then the reds. Same thing for the reds. And there's still bundles of this out there, so you can get a bundle for the book. Now the book itself, you can get a digital copy. So for those of you who don't want print books or in other countries or just don't want to wait, you can get a digital copy, and the print copy are available now. Okay, so that's the fabric that I'm using. Let me show you the components of the block. So you obviously need the pattern to do this, but what we're dealing with is squares, right? So you've got squares, you have star points, and this is what I'm going to show you is the star points and how they're made. There's a star point, and then the tree. And so the tree itself is 4 units, and they're all just regular sew and flip, you know, type stuff. So nothing complicated there. You'll be able to just follow along the pattern, and then you assemble the tree and all the other, you know, components then into the star block. But think of the tree as just like the middle of the star block, because that's what it is. Here it is, just with the star points around it. But isn't that the most clever thing? Wendy is so clever. And then the star points are these squares and triangles. So let's go to the machine, because I will show you how to put those together. I'm going to demo sewing the star point. So I've got everything laid out here for 1 star point. Plus over here are my little boo pumpkins, little white pumpkin parts. So I am sewing these half square triangles on everything to make the pumpkins. And I already have one back here that I'm using, so I can stop and start with that guy. And so the first thing I will do when I'm sewing this is take this unit. If you just take the left one, just be, I find it's better to be consistent, and you line it up on the outside, the straight edge, like in the corner, straight edge. I'm doing this one-handed, folks. So let's see, am I on there? Because you need to be accurate with this one. There's not a lot of fudging room. Okay, here we go. So I am going to just sew that seam. Whoops, there you go. Okay, so I'm going to sew that seam on there, and then I will actually, this is, if I've got 2 hands, it's a little faster, but I will go ahead and make the other, whoops, sorry, I'm bumping the camera. I've got these little guys, and so I'm putting them on the corners, and this is how I stop and start, and I get 2 projects, making 2 projects at once. So, oops, I don't have, I have my light off. That's why my guide's not on here. Hold on a second. There we go. It's still dim for the camera, but you can now see the guide beam. So I've got the guide beam on my Baby Lock Solaris Vision, which a lot of the Baby Locks actually have that guide beam, so you just need to talk to them to see which ones have it now. Alright, so I'm going to press this so that I've got nice and flat. I'm going to go to the iron and press it. Wendy has you press to the square. Press to the square. And then now I have the second triangle, and I'm lining it up in the corner here. So this is where I'm doing the lining up. I'm not trying to line up anything out there. I'm just lining this part of the triangle into the corner of the square. And then I will come over and sew my 1/4 inch seam. So whenever there's an error with a block like this, it is either you cut it wrong, which does happen, or your seam allowance is too big or too skinny. That is really what it is, because the pattern is correct. And so as we're working, if you have a size issue, first check what you cut. Whoops, sorry there. First check what you cut, and then check your seam allowances. And you don't just measure, you have to open it and check sizes. I have a thing on my website about that. I find it better to press the second one away, because if I pressed it in like this to the center, then I'm blind. I'm sewing blind to where the point is. When I press the first one to the center and the second one to the triangle, then I can see my intersection, and I need that for the sewing. So at this point, you will put your triangle, you'll layer them. But this is not the way to do it. We do not want the solid on the top, because again, you're sewing blind. You need to see where that intersection is. And so, but I think this is naturally what we do. We've just finished this piece, so it's laying here. So we take the next piece and we put it on top. But really, you need to be this way. You need to have it like this. Now I need 2 hands to get this lined up. So give me a second. The important thing for me is to get the long edge here even, like they should be straight, and you don't want to have see the solid piece hanging out on either side. It should be pretty much covered up. All right, so now we're going to sew. I've got the guide beam on, and you can see my guide beam is right at that intersection. And so that is what I'm going for, right through the intersection, and then continuing down. Okay, they slid a little bit, but I think we're going to be okay. One-handed is difficult to sew one-handed. I'm just going to cut the thread. But normally I would go ahead and do another square sew and flip for these pumpkin guys, but okay, there we go. Let's press him. Press to the white, because it doesn't have any seams on that side, you know, so I don't want to be trying to fold this seam. It just is easier to press away, which is to the light side. I'll meet you on the other side of the table and we'll trim it. So now that you have this unit made, so you've got it made, and you have it pressed open, then you'll take, and this is the one I've already trimmed. This is the same size as the corner unit. It's the same size as the corner unit. So all you have to do is get the size off the corner unit, and that's what you're going to trim it to. And you will be using the diagonal line here on your ruler. Let me move that. See this diagonal line? That is going to go on the seam. So you put the diagonal line on the seam, and then you set it up so that it's out to where the size it should be, and then you trim two sides, rotate it, and trim the other two sides. What you're going to find is there's very little room, you know, very little has to be trimmed. These are really tight. So if for some reason your block is not coming out the right size, like I said before, check your cut size and then check your seam allowance. Those are the only two things that it's going to be. Either you cut them not quite right, or you sewed them seam allowance too deep or too narrow. So here are two star points. If I was going to be making blue stars, maybe a blue, wouldn't this be gorgeous in blues? Wouldn't this? Oh wow. Oh wow, in blues. That would be spectacular. So it'd be like a winter tree. Wow, that would be cool. So like if you'd had a winter tree, there they are. So think of that. These would all be blues, and then in here would be blue, and you could have a snowy tree. That would be gorgeous. Somebody do that so we can see it. Right? Yeah. Just go right ahead. Just go right ahead. Before we end, I have a quilt block parade of your Autumn Wonders block 1. So let's take a look. Amy has a beautiful floral there in the strips, and then I love the teal with it. It works so well with this particular fabric. And the pop of yellow, nice. Bonnie has a classic green and navy. You cannot go wrong with green and navy. It really, and this coloration makes that green part really stand out. If you were doing this in repeat, it would be pretty cool. Cindy also has one which is, it might be navy in her half square triangles, or that might be black, I can't tell. But look at how she did a strip of like a row of flowers. And so that's probably from, you know, fussy cutting from the fabric line. It looks so good. Cindy's here is super cozy with that tans and this sort of caramel color half square triangles. Love that green with it. It's kind of a bluey green. Here's another Cindy, and this is great. This gold color and that stripe. Loving that stripe. It's sort of a painterly stripe, and then looks like maybe grunge for the brown. Gives it that nice grounded feeling. Cynthia's, she has fabulous fabric, Cynthia. Your fabric is so cool. Love those big prints, and they just work out so well. Debbie is rocking the purple. I love the sort of pin fabric, and then that one with all the little dots. It all goes together so well. Elizabeth is coming in with bright, beautiful yellows, sunshiny yellows, autumn yellows maybe. Yes, I think so, and a stripe. Karen's is gorgeous, and it's Christmas. I love that some of you are doing Christmas fabrics, and she wrote that she is really excited for wearing fun boots and sweaters. That's what autumn means to her. Carla is got pumpkins. Look at the little pumpkins on the orange, and they're white pumpkins. I love it. And the leaf fabric, and it looks like the browns are probably a batik, so to see how you can mix in your batiks with your cottons. You don't have to restrict them. They play together. Catherine, she switched out the center to put the little kitty, and she is also waiting to wear hooded sweatshirts. She can't wait. But I love the kitty fabric, darling. Kathy, my buddy Kathy, this is my friend Kathy who runs the One Block Wonder quilt group on Facebook, One Block Wonder. And so she has this amazing fabric that is just turning out gorgeous. Love that lace for the edges. Super cool. Kathy's is red and green, and then her half square triangles pull in those red and greens. There's little like red flowers in there. All three of those fabrics just play so well together. Laura is looking for flannel shirt time. She is waiting for flannel shirts, and look at this amazingly beautiful bundle she is sewing with. Just beautiful. The plaid looks really good in there with that big paisley. Love it. Linda, her block is so cute, and she told me when she posted it that she is making them half size. So this will be a 6-inch finished squares because she said she doesn't need a bigger quilt. So there you go. Linda's is classic blue and yellow, and then she has like a tan or a taupe to go with the other strip. It really looks beautiful. Who we got? Maryland is in Australia, and so she is working with lighter colors because they are in spring, and she says they don't have fireflies in Australia. I didn't know that, so she's having fun with the firefly fabric there on the pink. See, Maryland is, she's so excited because look at the bottom. See her squirrels? She got, oh, in the top right, in her half square triangles, she got all the squirrels facing the same way, and same with the mushrooms on the top left. So congratulations. It always feels good when they all are going the way we want them to. So Robin is also in Australia, and so she is also doing springy colors because that is the season they are in, and I love that. Teresa, this dot, you had me at dot. Oh my goodness. And then that green with the sort of like pavers and then the wood grain. This is just a great fabric combination. Okay, last one is from Valerie, which is so soft. This is like soft autumn. So beautiful. I see a gourd in that half square triangle fabric, pine cones. So beautiful. Thank you everybody for sharing your amazing blocks. Thank you everybody for sharing your block one from our Block Wednesday Autumn Wonders. You can go to my Facebook group and see loads more. There are so many. It's such great inspiration. Okay, one more time, I'm just going to pop Ember up here, and for those of you who would like to help out our ambassador Suzanne, sweet grand dog Ember, there's a GoFundMe link down below, and we all appreciate your support, and I know quilters love our fur babies. And so this week you will be making the first 3 blocks. So you'll be making 3 of these for the top row of the quilt. So for those of you who don't have the book yet and want to see what the quilt looks like, there we go. So you got 3 rows. So we're basically going to do 3 stars a week, and then we'll do the setting trees and then assemble it. So we'll be running this into the beginning, you know, like 4, 5, 6 weeks basically. All right, my friend, I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone, making Christmas tree stars with me. I'll see you online.